Hello world. Right, I'm back rather quickly with this one, having not too long ago just uploaded my European Day video, and I hope, as always, that you're going to find this one entertaining and interesting, and I hope you like it. So we'll carry on. Okay, the first thing I want to say here is that if any of you guys out there have never heard of or even seen the movie The Titfield Thunderbolt, then I highly recommend you go out and get yourself a copy. It is an incredibly brilliant film. It's available on DVD, as you can see here, and you will without doubt really enjoy it. Now, the film itself was made in 1952. It was filmed in 1952. It was released in 1953, and it was the first. It was the first Ealing comedy which was done in Technicolor, so that was a milestone straight away. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story, about the film, the plot, etc., etc. Now, the movie itself is based on a fictitious village here in the UK called Titfield, and the actual filming of it, most of it, took place in the beautiful county of Somerset here in the UK. Now, there was some of it was shot in other locations, like there was a couple of bits in London Park, I think, etc. But as I say, most of it was done in the Somerset area. Now, I'm going to give you the plot of the film, and it's quite simply this. In this fictitious village, they've got their own branch line, and a lot of the village people use it daily for going to work. Now, British Railways was going to have this big shuffle around, and a lot of lines are being closed, which included the Titfield branch line. Now, the villagers opposed this. They didn't want to shut it down, they didn't want to have it shut down, but the local bus company did want to get it shut down because they would be better off, they would have more people paying fares to travel with them. So the villagers, which was basically led by the reverend of the church, who had a massive interest in locomotives and trains, and the squire of the village, they decided to try and run it themselves, and they were given a month to prove that it was worthwhile. Now, in this first month of the trial period that they were granted, they were doing very, very well with it, but the local bus company were always trying to hinder them, like parking things on the line and causing obstructions and anything they could do to try and let them fail on this month's trial period. They even went as far as to take a piece of rail out in the night, and then they dragged the locomotive, which is the 14XX, running number 1401, and its lovely passenger coach. The brake van was not on at this point, but they dragged the locomotive by steamroller to the top of a 43-in-1 gradient, or 1 in 43, sorry, and then the train rolled down the hill and derailed where they'd removed a piece of the track. So with that, we'll now move on to the layout, and I'll start going through everything with you. Alright then, everybody, well, here we are on the layout, and so now let me show and tell you what inspired me to do this video. Right, late one night I was on the net, as you do, just surfing round, looking round, when I happened to stumble across an advert for Hornby, and it was an advert showing all the future releases. Now, one of the things that caught my eye was the Titfield Thunderbolt set that Hornby are due to release third quarter of this year, so we're looking, what, July time. Now, I went and had a look at it. I intended to buy it. I think it's about £130. I was going to pre-order it, as they say, but then when I looked at it and I studied it, I thought, something's not right here. Something just wasn't right. And I had seen the movie a couple of times, but it was quite some time ago, and before I pre-ordered this, I decided to treat myself to the DVD, which is what you saw on the introduction of this video, and I wanted to refresh my memory on everything and see if I could find out what didn't look right on this Hornby set. So, what have Hornby done then? Right, first thing we need is a Class 14XX or Class 1400. So, here we go, the Class 1400. Right, now, that is an Airfix one, obviously green, obviously Great Western, no worries, pretty obvious. Now, what they've done, Hornby have used one of these from their current production, what they make. which is fair enough, right? And then what they've done then, they've added onto the back of it a Lomac wagon, like so. Okay, so now we've got the 1400 and we've got the Lomac. And then what they've done, oh by the way, the Lomac is another current Hornby product. Now then what they've done, they've taken the body, like that is the frame and the wheel, they've taken the body off of the four-wheel coach, which again is current production, and what they've done, they've plonked it like that on top of the Lomac. Now obviously you'll see under there that I've not taken off the clips that clip it to the frame, because I don't want to damage this. Obviously I want to clip it back on the frame, but so if you imagine chopping those clips off, yes, it's going to sit much lower, that goes without saying, but there's still going to be a substantial gap here. And yeah, as I say, we've now got 14XX, we've got the Lomac, we've got the coach body off of one of the current four-wheel coaches, and then to complete the set they put on the end, I can get it right, there we go, they've put on the end a Great Western towed brake van, which is superb. So there is your Hornby set as it's supposed to be when it comes out in July. But to me, having now refreshed myself on the movie, this is completely wrong. Stay with me and all will be revealed. And so, why is it wrong? Okay, well let's take each item in question and we'll go through them. Right, as I say, this is an Airfix one. It's exactly the same as the one that Hornby are releasing with the Titfield Thunderbolt pack. Now, the thing is, in the movie, the 14XX is actually numbered 1401. Now, Hornby's photo of the forthcoming product is numbered 4819, and obviously that's completely wrong to start with. Now, I don't know if they intend to change that number, because they all say in the description of the product that it is going to be heavily weathered, but the one in the photo doesn't look weathered at all. So whether the heavily weathered ones weren't available for the promotion photo, I don't know, but let's assume that it will be heavily weathered, fair enough. But I'd like to think they'll use the correct running number of 1401. Now, the other thing is, the one in the film was also black, not green. And also on the side, the GWR, there's three very plain big splodges where the GWR had been painted out because of the amalgamation of all the railways at the time. So, that makes the locomotive wrong. Its running number's wrong, its colour's wrong, the GWR wasn't there in the film, it's painted out, it can clearly be seen in the movie, and it should be black, right, which is like this one. Right, there we go. Now that is what it should look like. It's a black one, you can clearly see where it's been painted, splodged out, and you can clearly see it's 1401. Okay, so now that one is a depot, and I'll just show you. Let me get the little certificate. Hang on, stay with me. Right, there we go. There it is. Right, now it's obviously it's called the Titfield Thunderbolt Locomotive, 14XX, running number 1401, and there was only 100 of these done, as you can see. This one is number 90 out of the 100. And signed there, and the date is the 1st of the 12th 02, so she's 11 years old. So there we go. So that is the correct locomotive for the job. So now we'll move on to the next bit, and so let's now have a look at the other items in turn. Right, let's continue on first of all with the Lomac. Now I have to admit, a little bit of a sticky point here on this, because that's obviously the current production Lomac, which I mentioned to you earlier what Hornby do. Now, the coach body, it's sort of alright. Great Western Region 1, it's sort of alright, but it's not as close as the one that was used in the movie, and I will come back to that a little later on in this video. But for the moment, the one in the movie sits much lower on the Lomac. Now the thing is, I'll just bring you over here. This of course is obviously a well wagon, or trestle wagon we call it. Now, it doesn't matter about the Velcro, that's what I use, by the way, for my bullet camera to go around the layout. That's why this is what I stick it on, this low loader here. Right, now if Hornby have used one of those with this body, you'll see that I'm not going to push it down obviously, but you'll see without those clips on underneath, this would have sat right down on a wheel wagon like that, and I think it would have looked better, but unfortunately I don't think Hornby do one of these. And the other thing is, in the movie it's definitely not got bogies, it's definitely four-wheel fixed axle like that. But if you look at the shape of the trestle wagon here, you can see it's virtually a 90-degree bends, and of course the Lomax slopes up gradually, but the one in the movie, which is definitely a Lomax fixed axle, four wheels, but it's got much more of a similar shape to that. It's still not a perfect 90, but it's up slightly sloped, but the thing is, I can't seem to get my hands on one of those. It seems to be quite a hard one to find, so we're going to have to carry on and live with that as Hornby have done it. Right, and then to the last item of the Hornby set, which is the towed brake van. And guess what, guys, this one's right. That's the only bit that's really correct. Colour's a little bit off, but not the end of the world for that. So there we go. So I'll now, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to try and recreate scenes from the movie. There's a couple of people on YouTube already done that. One of them's a great guy named Tim. He runs a couple of channels. One of them is Wensum Valley Railway, and the other I think is called Landy Valley Railway. But I will put details in the description box for you to go and have a look at his sites on YouTube. He's got a beautiful looking layout. He's a great guy and very helpful. In fact, what I'm going to do is from now on, we're going to show you the locomotives and all the items on the rolling stock that feature in the movie in the order of which they appear. So don't go away, it's tea time for me. And so now everybody, let's see some real movement. Okay, the first thing we see in the movie is right on the opening scene, right after the credits, we see a very fast flyby by a West Country class loco, along with 5 coaches, and it is really fast coming by. So what we'll do, we'll bring this up to show you. Now, I was okay with the West Country class loco, but I didn't really know which one it was. And this again is where Tim came in and was very, 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 very helpful for me. Right, now, the loco in the movie is Coombe Martin, the number is 34043, and I believe it's probably been scrapped by now anyway. But I've tried to get one. Hornby did make one, it was only ever available in a set. So it's quite scarce. You don't very often see it on eBay. There's one on at the moment, but it's been hand painted and it's got the wrong tender on it, so that one's completely out of the question. But I already had Tanzmere anyway, so I thought, well, no, I'll use Tanzmere. It's as good as running number 34067, of course, as you can see there. And it's quite ironic because last year, 2012, the Norfolk Railway did a Titfield weekend event, and they did bring out Tanzmere for it. So that's pretty good. I would say that's as close as we're going to get. And so yeah, that's it. Now, at the time of looking at the video, the DVD, the flyby is so quick, like I say, that you see a blur of coaches go by, and I'm no expert on what was what. But Tim kindly helped me out here again. As I say, he told me about Coombe Martin, and he also then, we went on and we discussed the parcels van, which is there. Now, the parcels van, I have about 3 or 4 different LMS parcel vans, but I sort of showed them to Tim and he said, yeah, but no, you need this one. And he pointed me to the one on YouTube, on eBay, sorry, and simply I got it, and he said thumbs up, that's the one. Okay, so thanks again on that one, Tim. Now, following that, for me, as I say, all I could see was a red coach and 4 green ones, and it was Tim that clarified everything for me. Now, this one was a bit of a bugger to find because it's a bullied southern region, and as you can see, I had to go and get that because I didn't have one. So again, I managed to pull it out the bag and we got that one. The final 3 coaches on her were not a problem. I'd already got the full set of Monsals Southern, so there's 2 more coaches there, and then of course the brake coach on the end like that. So what we'll do, we'll get around, let you see coming around a couple of times, and we'll move on to the next part of the movie. There we go. There she is. And that is exactly like the opening scene of the movie. Now what I'll do, I'm going to speed her up a little bit here. Alright, I'm going to get back over here and I'm going to sort of try and get the right angle without catching the train on the track, and you'll see what I mean about the flyby speed. It's like, well, I'd say it was even closer than that, but I can't get my hand in anymore. I'll try and put the camera in a bit more. It's such a long angle like that. Yeah, I suppose you could still tell what those coaches are at that, but in the movie, with it being an old 30 whatever millimeter film to use, 35, I don't know, whatever, and of course it's not in HD, so yeah, so it wasn't that easy for me to spot what the coaches really were. So okay, we'll bring her to a stop over here, and then of course I'll introduce you to the next part of the movie. There we go. It's a bit quick on the stop there, sorry about that. But there we go, beautiful tannish mare. Back in a couple of ticks. Yeah, and happening to forget to tell you that that Titfield weekend on the Norfolk Railway last year, 2012, was in 60 years celebration from the making of the movie, which took place in 1952. But of course this year, now 2013, we're celebrating 60 years of the release of the movie. So I forgot to mention that to you. And also, I also forgot to mention the flyby that the country class, West Country class here does at the beginning of the movie. It's actually over a big viaduct, which leads me straight into the next bit rather appropriately. Right, the next thing we see, and immediately coming under the viaduct as the West Country class goes over, we see the first signs of the Titfield train, and this is how she looks on that opening scene. Right, she's pulling the train backwards, and the tow brake van, again, the whole train is being pulled backwards, the loco is backwards as well. And then following that, we've got a Great Western cattle wagon there, which is a normal one, and that is used by the squire to get his his produce to the market on market day, so that's correct. And then we've got a rather strange coach. Now I'm going to have to edit the video here because there's a lot to tell you about this coach. It's very unusual and there's quite a story behind it, so I'll be back in a couple of ticks. Okay everybody, well at this point of the video I'm going to tell you all about this coach, and it's extremely interesting and informative, so don't go away. I think you're going to enjoy what's about to come, what I'm about to tell you. Right, in the movie The Titfield Thunderbolt, they either hired or borrowed this coach, or one of these coaches, from the Wisbech and Upwell tramway. Now the Wisbech and Upwell tramway had a few four-wheel coaches, and then they had two bogie coaches which were numbered 7 and 8. Now these coaches would normally have been pulled by a basically a steam tram car or locomotive, or maybe even a diesel at some point, but they weren't never intended to be pulled by a train as such, so that was a little bit unique. Now they looked low and squat, as you can see by the height of the top, because of they had to handle racetrack and no platforms at some of the depots and stations, so they gave them this look like low down to the ground squat look. So now in the Norfolk's Titfield weekend event last year, they actually used number 7, the original Wisbech and Upwell bogie tramcar coach, number 7, which has been restored and preserved, and you can see it on YouTube. If you go and look at all the videos that people have kindly put up about that event last year, you can see it all on YouTube, so go and have a look at all of that. Also, the author of Thomas the Tank Engine, Reverend W. Audrey, he actually lived near the Wisbech and Upwell tramway, and he based 2 of the locomotives that used to run on that line as what were they called? Was it Toby and Mavis, I think. Yeah, it was Toby and Mavis. Now, Toby was based on a J70 steamer, well, a locomotive, a tram locomotive that used to tow the coaches, and I think Mavis was based on a Drury shunter, which did take over from the steam locos on the Wisbech and Upwell tram line later on in life. But that is the story behind Wisbech and Upwell tramway, and you can see now why this coach has a lot of history behind it. So we're going to get this one moving in a few seconds, and then we'll move on to another part of the film. And just a couple more points to mention to you before we actually do move on and get everything moving around. This coach is not identical to the one that was used in the film, the number 7 or number 8 from the Wisbech and Upwell tramway, but this is about the closest off the shelf one you can find. The original one in the movie had the balconies like so, front and back like so. They had the wrought ironwork like so. And obviously the livery colour is wrong on this, but I wasn't going to paint. This was a very expensive coach, and I've got a whole set of these, and I was obviously not going to paint it and spoil it, because it was, like I say, quite expensive. But it is virtually the right thing. It's the right height, squat, it's got the air vents and everything on the top correctly. It's a bogeyed coach, like I say, the front and back balconies and all the wrought ironwork. So other than making one yourself, which by the way Tim did make one himself, and it is featured in his video, Wensum Valley Railway, on YouTube. Go and check out his Titfield video. He's done quite a good rendition of some scenes from the movie, particularly the bit where the steamroller and the loco 1401 here have a bit of a battle. So go and have a look at that on his video. Now, also to mention to you, now we know this is 1401. From this point on, I'm not going to refer to her as a class 14XX or a class 1400. I'm literally going to refer to her as 1401. I'm not going to refer to her as Thunderbolt, which, you know, the Titfield Thunderbolt, which, yes, well, you'll see why in a very short time. So don't go away, stay with me, and we'll get this one moving in a few seconds. Okay then, as I said to you earlier, the first time we see 1401, she's like this, pulling the train backwards. We'll just take her around a couple of times. She might stick a bit on that point. Oh no, she took it alright. Sometimes for some reason or other she jerks on that point, but she's alright on the other two on this inside track number 1. But who knows? Right, so bring her round again, get another sweep across for you. So 1401 and the Titfield train. Yeah, there we go, stored on the point. Okay, I've got it around anyway, that's the main thing. Now, just bring it to a halt at the front here, and I'll show you what happens now. Okay. Right, we'll just bring it to a gentle halt there. And I'm going to just do a little bit of a change and be back with you in a couple of seconds. Now, the next time we see her in the movie is when she's at the Titfield station. The squire has loaded his produce onto the cattle wagon there, and the train has now been turned round. Well, the locomotive has, and it's now facing forward, and it's pulling the train in the forward direction with the brake van, guard's brake van, the tow brake van, sorry, on the end, like this. Whoa, quick there. So we'll just turn around again a couple of times this way. I'll let you have another look. 1401 again. Here we go. So that's the second time you see her in the movie, how the consist is laid out. And I will just point something else quite interesting to you here. Well, I think it's interesting anyway. Right, we'll stop her there for a minute. Right, now, if you look, the loco didn't come with these lanterns on. I've done that. And in the movie, she's got, 1401 has got that one right in front of the chimney. It's got that one on the side. Can you see that one in front of the toolbox? But the lamp is actually facing that way. So that's that one. And of course, I'd already, I'd say I've done this, but you'll see on the back, again, referring to the movie, she's got that one there on the back, right next to the coal bay. Yeah, okay, cool. So there we go then. That's how she looks on the second time round on the movie. So another quick break and I'll show you what she looks like on her third appearance. And quite simply, and just briefly here, her third appearance is virtually the same, but we never see the cattle wagon again. It's been removed from the train, so we've just literally got 1401, we've got the tram coach, and we've got the towed brake van. So I'd say we never see the cattle wagon again in the movie, so we'll just take that round a couple of times again, just to show you exactly how things are in the order they appear in the movie. So once more round here. Now I think we'll just go for the one run round, that's enough, we've seen her. There we go. So now this is where everything in the movie changes, and I'm going to say no more for a few seconds. This now brings us to the point in the movie where 1401 and the beautiful Whizbet tram car gets stolen by the rival bus company. They tow it with a steamroller to the top of a grade 43 in 1, and she rolls down the grade, and some of the bus workers, they've removed a piece of the rail, and at the bottom of the gradient she obviously derails, becomes smashed up and completely useless. So we're now left with, quite simply, the tow brake van, which wasn't coupled to her at the time of the theft. So what do the villagers do? They've only got about 6 hours to get another train together, because it's the next morning where the authorities are due to visit to see if the month that they granted has been successful, and if they don't complete this run that morning, they're going to lose it. And so what do the villagers do? Well, this is what they do. They get authorization from one of the local townspeople to borrow a 042 locomotive out of the local museum, and they've got the brake van, but they haven't got a passenger car. Right, now Dan the fireman lives in the coach body, which I showed you earlier on in the video. It's not on a frame, it's got no wheels, and he happens to be in prison. I won't go through that, it's not terribly relevant, but he's in prison. So without his permission, the villagers, about 10 or 12 of them, they pick up his home with like big rods of branches underneath it, or some sort of lifting stuff, and they take it and they put it onto the Lomac wagon, which again you saw earlier on in the film, the video, sorry, and they make up a train. And so, hands up all those who'd like to see the real Thunderbolt. Yeah, I thought so. So everybody, for the first time ever on YouTube, here comes the real Titfield Thunderbolt train. There she is, absolutely stunning, bloody gorgeous. There she is. Now, I'll tell you now, in the movie she was renamed Thunderbolt. This is why I haven't been calling the 1401 Thunderbolt, because she wasn't Thunderbolt. This is Thunderbolt. The one they use in the movie is a real locomotive. Its proper name is Lion, which you should, hopefully if it focuses, yeah, be able to see there. She is currently in the museum in Liverpool. Still runs. She's been for many years. She's been doing excursions and shows and all sorts, but they've now decided not to run her anymore. So say, if you Google Lion Locomotive and YouTube Lion Locomotive, there's a video on YouTube of the original 1930 film in black and white of her, and there's lots of information about it, like I say, on Google and on YouTube. And just like in the movie, what the villagers did, they put the coach body on the Lomac. Now, as you'll see here, what I've done is I've used the Lomac because, like I say, I couldn't quite get the exact same one, so I don't blame Hornby for using this one. But what I have done, I've already got 4 of the Stephenson's rocket coaches, which you've probably seen 1,000 times over there at the back in the station over underneath there anyway. And of course I wasn't going to cannibalise any of those, but I did have a look at one of them, and I realised that you can't take the body off the frame because it's a one-piece moulding. So I thought, right, I'm going to have to get hold of another one to do this. So I got that one on eBay. It had a broken, missing bumper, which didn't matter to me one iota, and I got it for 10 quid, and I literally just cut the bottom of it off and glued it onto the Lomac. Now that is still not quite perfect to Dan's home, the fireman's home in the movie, but I can tell you now it's 95% there. Also, I was going to paint out the Liverpool experience and Manchester writing. I was going to yellow it out because obviously that isn't in context with the the GW where this was supposed to have all happened, the fictitious Titfield, etc. But I changed my mind, and the reason I changed my mind, and I accept it's out of context, but the reason I changed my mind is because if you go onto YouTube and you type in Lion Locomotive, that black and white film I've just mentioned, it's only about 1.5 minutes long, but it features the original Lion pulling its original coaches, and they are exactly like that, and they have that writing on them. And the reason they have that is because Lions, when the line was built, it was built initially for the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, and that's the line it used to run. So I thought, no, I'm not going to paint it out, I'm just going to leave it in. Doesn't matter, I've explained why now, and well, I'll let you think, I'll let you decide, but to me now, this is correct. Of course, the toad breakdown again on the end. So for me now, this is the correct Titfield Thunderbolt, and we'll get around just once. You'll see she's gorgeous, absolutely stunning. So we'll take that round. There she is. I'll bring her just round once more to here. So there we go then, guys, for the first time ever on YouTube, the real Titfield Thunderbolt and the real Lion Locomotive. So we'll get her to there, stop while I go and have a cup of char, and then I'm going to be back up and we're going to have all 3 stars of the film running all together. Again, another first on YouTube. Don't go away. Before we get to the final run rounds of the video, there's a couple more points I'd like to bring to your attention. On Hornby's description of the forthcoming release of this set, they say it includes a heavily weathered British Rail Class 14XX locomotive, which in the film ran through the buffers and down several roads, eventually ending up on its side. Well, that's not correct. No, it's not, because in the movie, Dan the fireman and the wealthy entrepreneur of the village both get drunk, and this is after the train has been stolen and smashed up, and they then go to railway sidings or a railway yard and they pinch another Class 14XX and they roll it off the turntable before the turntable has reached its track, and so it ends up going through the streets of a village. It doesn't go through its buffers, it goes through an advertising board, and it goes down the street and eventually ends up by hitting a tree. It doesn't go onto its side. So that is actually incorrect information. Right, we're on the last bit. Right then, folks, just one more thing to point out to you, because obviously I've done a lot of narration in this video and I'm not quite sure if I mentioned it earlier, but I'll just briefly mention it to you. Earlier on I told you about the Inspection Upwell tram coach, how they are squat, low to the ground, and you can obviously see the roof is lower than the rest of the stock. Now, the way I got this to look correct was a simple one. That is an HO scale, whereas the rest of it is OO scale, and it looks absolutely perfect for the job. So there you go. And now we're on the homeward run, and shall we say, another first on YouTube. All 3 stars of the British amazing, funny movie, just a great film, the Titfield Thunderbolt. All 3 stars, all running together. So we'll start off with 1401 because she's on the middle line. She's obviously a star of the film for around about 2/3 of the movie, so she certainly is a star of the film. But of course, like I've already pointed out now, in a lot of detail, just get comfy, she's not the main star. Thunderbolt is the main star. So we'll just bring 1401 round again and through, like that, and then we'll crack on with the real Thunderbolt. Here she goes. Oh yeah, oh, I'm so pleased with this, absolutely. Away she goes. And then of course the cameo star, a very short bit at the beginning of the movie, as already explained, we've got the West Country class set. But there we go. All three of them together. I'm going to shut up now and just get you some, hopefully some good shots of everything while they're on the travels round. So here we go. Well, while they're coming round, I will tell you this. I honestly have to say, it has cost a lot of money. I won't dispute that, but I think it's been worth every penny. I'm really proud of this because I have researched it in great depth. It took a lot of research, a lot of time and effort, and like I say, a good few quid as well. But I've got it, and it's never going to lose its value. I mean, this lot here has got to be worth something now, as a complete set of all three of the stars of the movie. So yeah, I'm well pleased with it all. Obviously, I'm using two tape break bands because otherwise I wouldn't be able to, you know, like show you the Thunderbolt and 1401 together. But that's no big deal anyway. Yeah, that's a new one, and the one on 1401 is an old one that I've already got. Yeah. Like I say, no big deal. Right, a couple more shots, and then you've seen it all. Here we go. Leading the pipe look. Well, nearly. This is. Well, that's it, gang. I hope you've enjoyed the video. You know, I've had it in mind for a long time. It's just taken such a long time to get it all together, but I've done it. And I'm proud of it, and I think this one's going to be a little bit of a feather in the cap. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping you're going to love it. At this point in the video, I'd like to also mention a couple of people, give some credit out. One, of course, first of all, is to Tim of Wenton Valley Railway and Landy Valley Railway. Yeah, I'm going to put his contact details in the description box. He's going to have a look at his website and his YouTube channels. He's just a great guy, and he's been so helpful with me, you know, letting me know the items, exactly what some of them were, which I couldn't work out myself. I'd also like to say a big thank you to Ben and Ryan and Adam of Rails of Sheffield, because thanks to them I got Lion or Thunderbolt. So, and I thank you guys on that one. And last but not least, round here again for you. Last but not least, oh, I forgot who I'm thanking now. Oh no, who was the third one? I forgot. Oh, hang on, I'll get it in a minute. Oh, that's a nice flyby. Yep, and another one. And another one. Let's get down here while I think of that other. Oh, the other thank you. I can't remember. I really can't remember. Oh no. Yeah, nice one. Now let's get the rocket this time. Come on. Not the rocket, sorry. Thunderbolt. What am I talking about? Oh no, we're blocked out. Oh, we're not. She's coming now. All on her own, look. Yes. Alright everyone, well I can't remember what else I was going to mention, but if I think about it I'll put it in the description box, so put it in there. Right, so we've got the Hunter class round. Okay, I'm cool with that. Right, Thunderbolt or Lion, whichever you want to call her. There she is, and and once more round, 1401. Here we go. That's it, everybody. Thanks ever so much for watching. Ever so much for all your support, and do take care of yourselves, as I always say. And can I get them all in the final shot? Sort of. Alright. Night night, everybody.